Hello YouTube world, my name is Nicholas Montez and you're watching my YouTube channel, Nicholas Montez. Welcome back to another YouTube channel video everybody. I'm so excited to have y'all back here together again. And in today's video, we're actually going to be discussing my top 5 favorite third movies of all time. Just to let you know, the fifth one, so basically the list is going to be the third movie of a movie franchise. So for example, the third movies of the MCU movies, the third, like all those sequels. There is one that I don't have necessarily up there as my favorites, but I had to pick one because I don't really have many favorites. I had to pick one to make this list come true. With that said, let's get started. Now, The Dark Knight Rises is actually a very interesting movie. Now, this is actually the movie I was talking about where I said I don't love this movie like the rest of the other movies on this list. All the other movies I absolutely love, but The Dark Knight Rises is still a good movie because I put this on this list because I thought it was a great conclusion to the Dark Knight trilogy. It really kind of continued the story of Bruce Wayne and Batman and really told a great story with that. It also just invited some new characters like Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character. It had some cool interactions with Bruce Wayne and Alfred, where there's some heartbreaking moments, especially at the end with the funeral. The action is also pretty great. Bane, Tom Hardy's performance in the film is also really great. The story can be a little bit lackluster, but I think that what I loved about this film was the conclusion of the Dark Knight trilogy as a whole. So that's why it's on this list. But I can't say that it's my favorite or one of my favorite movies of all time. But I still really like it. Now, this was a very surprising movie because of the Thor films, this is easily the best of them because Thor 1 obviously didn't really do the best job. It was okay and it was watchable. Thor: The Dark World is easily known to be the worst MCU movie to date. And this movie actually kind of does something great with the story. It changes the tone, it introduces some new characters, it changes the color scheme, and it makes it a very fun, and it makes it for a very different story inside of the MCU. And I honestly loved the fun stuff of it. Once again, the cast is of course great with Tessa Thompson, Taika Waititi actually playing his own character like Korg, Tessa Thompson playing Valkyrie, Hulk coming back and kind of having that Planet Hulk plotline like they did in the comics. All in all, very entertaining, very enjoyable, very funny. Chris Hemsworth, probably one of his best movies as he's funny and he can still do the action right, and it leads into a very heavy, great character arc in Avengers: Infinity War. All in all, great movie. I don't really think that the funny moments surpass the dramatic moments, but I still absolutely love this movie. Now, if you know me, this is probably one of my personal favorite movies of all time, and obviously this is the movie that kind of inspired my channel. If you go back to one of my first videos of my channel, you'll understand why. But Captain America: Civil War is an absolute phenomenal MCU film. Now, it's not just about seeing the Avengers fight each other to the death. What it's really meant to be is that it's a continuation of multiple MCU sequels, and it sets up multiple MCU sequels seamlessly. As it sets up Black Panther, it sets up Civil War, it sets up Homecoming. No, it sets up Black Panther, it sets up Homecoming, it sets up Ant-Man and the Wasp, it sets up Infinity War, it sets up all these sequels, and they do it right with telling that story. But really what puts the cherry on top is that you have the confrontation of Tony Stark and Steve Rogers, where the events of Captain America as well as the Avengers, they've had some catastrophic events happen where thousands or at least billions of people have died in the mix, and it creates the Sokovia Accords, and it creates this conflict that is very interesting to see on screen. And it creates a very interesting character arc for Steve Rogers. And along those same lines, it continues the Captain America story very well, where it continues the events of Winter Soldier. It continues the events. It introduces some stuff with other Winter Soldiers, even though we didn't really get to see them because they died in their sleep, or at least we thought they died in their sleep. But also, as an MCU film, it also finds some new ways to introduce some new characters, like Spider-Man and Black Panther, R.I.P. Chadwick Boseman. They even introduce a great villain in Zemo, where it's very different, where he's not one of those villains that throws a punch to defeat the villain, to defeat the hero. He actually is doing it through the villain's perspective once you get to that third act, where it's just very personal. So I love this movie, and it's just a great film that ends off the Steve Rogers Captain America trilogy, and setting up a new Captain America trilogy with Sam Wilson. Now, obviously, all three Toy Story films are absolutely phenomenal, and Toy Story 3 is no failure. This is actually my favorite Toy Story film of all time, and it's not just because it's the most enjoyable. It's funny, it's lighthearted, it dives into the characters of Woody and other characters. The animation is of course great, but really what puts the film on top is that Woody has this moral compass where whether the toys are going to college or going in the attic, their job is to be there for their kid. Even though he's going to college, they need to be there for him. And also, it just has a great villain in Lotso, where when you go into his backstory, it's just sad as he got replaced, and with all the anger and stuff, he's just thinking that toys are meant to be trash, and it's such a heartbreaking thing, and it's executed very well in this movie. Along those same lines, it just has a lot of funny moments, great cool action, pretty cool twists, and it also is just very emotional when you get to that ending sequence where you think the toys are about to die, but then the claw picks them up and it says that, and the aliens saved our lives, and you get that final moment where Andy plays with his toys for the last time. This is the way to close out a trilogy, but start a new story and actually conclude it. This is the way to conclude the Andy trilogy right. Obviously, this is my favorite movie of all time, so obviously this is my favorite third movie of all time. And really what makes this movie so interesting, and much like Civil War, it's not just because you have big action and you have all these characters coming together, but really it's a great way to tell a story. Because the way that it was set up in Endgame, and I keep thinking about it, it's just set up so well. Because you have all these awesome moments. You have Thor teaming up with the Guardians of the Galaxy, Iron Man and Doctor Strange interacting, Spider-Man going to space, Captain America and his set of Avengers finally teaming up with the armies of Wakanda and actually working together to stop Thanos and his forces. And then, obviously, the best thing about this movie is the villain in Thanos, when you go into his backstory, he's just so heartbreaking in that his theme to kill half of all life in the universe to make everything equal is kind of clever. So he's not really doing anything bad. He just wants people to live equally. And I think that's very clever in the way they tell the story. And especially when you get to that scene where he kills Gamora, it's very emotional, but it makes sense and very clever in the way they do it. and I think that it's very clever storytelling, but also very emotional as well. Beyond that, it's also very funny, and it also just has this gut-wrenching ending where our heroes lose and the bad guy wins, and the deaths are catastrophic, and it even has an emotional death. They save it for the last part with them killing off Spider-Man, and definitely ties to the heartstrings because everybody absolutely loves Spider-Man. All in all, this is a fantastic film, a great third movie, and a great way to continue another story, kind of like Toy Story 3 did. So that's my review. That's my top 5 favorite movies, third movies of franchises. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. My Instagram is Marvel6 and my TikTok is MarvelFan. If you guys don't understand those names, head to the bottom section so you can follow me on all social medias. I'm also in Letterboxd. It's the same name as Instagram, _6_, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.